Hey everybody, welcome to a new thing on my channel, which is a podcast. Yay, it's finally here. For people who have been following me for a longer time, know that actually my original idea on YouTube was to do a podcast-like experience, or like videos, where I would talk with friends about games, since I wasn't aware of the whole Let's Play phenomenon yet. It was very difficult for me, though, in all those years to actually find people with the same schedules and who had the same sort of idea. But luckily, C0dy, who you all know from the Epic Arma series, and hopefully also in the future other co-op Let's Plays, also was very interested in the whole YouTube aspect and in the podcast. So he said, you know what, let's do a podcast together. And he is here with me now. Say hello.
Hello.
And you
Hello.
are in the stages of getting your YouTube account ready, correct?
Yeah, I got I had a YouTube profile I was using. It's under Alter Ego, same as my Steam name. I had one going for a while, but I've only uploaded videos just for my friends, like a lot of War Thunder videos, and then that's about it. So I only got a few videos on there, nothing big.
Do you want the
really put
viewers
anything on there
to know what your YouTube channel is? Do you want me to put it in the description down below?
Yeah, if you want, that's totally up to you. I don't care either way. I mean, I guess more people the better.
Alright, sure, that is no problem. So, guys, look for C0dy's YouTube channel in the description down below. He's called Alter Ego. I'll probably just keep calling him C0dy, though. Or maybe Ego, we don't know yet. But, anyway, so this is the first podcast. It is still in a very early stage. We just decided to do this where it's audio only, and you have some gameplay footage running in the background. Now, in the future, when it becomes more streamlined, we might do something with webcams, or if it's possible, and it is a little bit more of an effort, but I would like to do some episodes where we're actually behind a table, like, for example, the Rooster Teeth podcast, and I think the Screw Attack podcast does it as well. I really like that sort of concept. For me, podcasts are really a cool thing, though it's more audio, I think, is important, since I usually have the podcast that I like running in the background as I'm doing my laundry or cleaning or something like that. Anyway, since this is the first episode, we decided to not go all out yet. Usually podcasts are around like 1 or 2 hours. We decided to just go for maybe half an hour, maybe even less, and not talk about gaming news yet. We will do that from next week on. But since we're both very kind of inexperienced with this, I decided to just talk about today about what games we have played last week and what games we are looking forward to that are still coming out this year, which kind of blends in with the Tokyo Game Show, which we both attended 2 weeks ago. So, let me begin with you, C0dy. What have you been playing last week? And I also want to say that this is going to be something that we're going to probably talk about every week, where if we played something interesting and if you can recommend something to the viewers. So, take it away.
Okay, so the biggest thing I've been playing for releases of this year is actually Dead Rising 3. I had an issue with my graphics card. It's a GTX NVIDIA 880M. This came out not too long ago, and it seemed like Dead Rising was unsupported for it, so it kept on crashing. So it postponed my game time probably about a week before I actually put some time into it. I've been playing that mainly co-op. I just started getting into Elite Dangerous space sim.
Alright, I don't know anything about that, so tell me a little bit more. Actually, we've talked about this before, but for the viewers who don't know, what is it about?
Elite Dangerous is in beta stage. It announced around the same time as Star Citizen, so it's kind of up to that level. Currently, it's a little bit farther development than Star Citizen, so a lot of people that love space sims are going to that, and I guess waiting for Star Citizen to start having betas and eventually releasing. So it's a open world MMO space sim. I haven't really explored it yet because I've been setting up controls and seeing how the game feels and everything. So yeah, that's about it for that.
How does it with Elite Dangerous? Because obviously the comparison that will be normal to make is also to compare to Eve Online, correct?
Yeah,
But Eve
Eve
Online
Online,
is very how do you spreadsheet heavy. If you're looking to add a
yeah,
lot of numbers.
it's like Microsoft Excel in space, as I heard it was explained. It's more of a point and click game. It really revolves around player economy and player run corporations. So it's more than just a space sim. I put a little bit of time into it, but I'm not like hours and hours and hours. Maybe like 1 or 2 hours a day, maybe. If I'm playing with my friends, because by yourself, it gets too boring.
All right, but there is actually you can already play it. Unlike Star Citizen, where I think the only thing that they released was the hangar, and I think I heard, I could be wrong on this, but the PvP module was released. I might be wrong, or maybe it was shown.
I'm actually I'm actually not sure. I know they have some type of dogfighting in it now, and I think a commander module is supposed to release later down the line. Or maybe it's been released yet. I'm not really sure. I haven't actually been really following Star Citizen because the buy-in for the beta at current state is pretty expensive, and the ships, like some of the ships cost about $200 for a pack, which is ridiculous for me.
Are you going to play it though eventually when it comes out?
I'm gonna wait and see until I'll maybe look into it if it comes in a later build. Star Citizen's in beta right now, and I'm sure Elite Dangerous is in its beta stages, and it's pretty far along the development line. So it definitely there's a lot to it than besides just an early alpha. So I mean, it's more playable than what Star Citizen is right now.
Is Elite Dangerous available on Steam?
No, and I don't know if it's not going to come out or not. Either Star Citizen, I don't think they started off with Steam. It was I think, what was it? I'm drawing a blank on the gaming invention stuff. Kickstarter, that's what it was. Yeah, it was started on Kickstarter. I know Elite Dangerous had a game similar to Asteroids in the 80s, so even though it's a huge gap, that company has a little bit of experience of gaming. I'm not sure what else their other games are. I haven't really looked into their company, but yeah, neither of them are on Steam, and I doubt they'll come out on Steam. Maybe if a lot of people demand it, that might be a possibility in the future, but for now, it's you just download them off their sites.
All right. All right, so that is Elite Dangerous, and have you played anything else? Or was that it?
I just started getting to the new expansion for Watch Dogs. I've been playing that.
Blood something, right?
Yeah, it's Bad Blood DLC. It just came out. It came out Tuesday of last week, and I didn't know about it until the weekend. Supposedly, people who had the season pass were able to play it since last week, and I did not know that until my friend mentioned it. So I started playing co-op with him. Co-op actually on it is a bit of a letdown, just because that there's only from what I got after the description off of PC Gamer and PC Gamer and Game Informer, it seems like it was going to be a lot more co-op than what it is currently. And I'm hoping maybe in later DLCs that open up more for co-op, maybe like co-op main campaign or something. But currently it's just a few missions, so it kind of gets boring. And it seems like you're kind of grinding the same mission again in co-op than you normally are. So.
All right, so that was a little bit of a disappointment, I guess. A lot of people actually are not too positive about Watch Dogs anyway. I know I bought it and haven't really touched it at all. It's also because the timing was really bad, because my viewers decided to let me play GTA 4, and I mixed it up by doing that with a first-person mod. So I actually started playing GTA 4 with some of the graphics mods, which actually made it look, more beautiful than GTA 5 pretty much. And I don't know, I couldn't really come into Watch Dogs because of the car physics. But I should actually still take a look at it later this year, I guess in December or something, when all the big blockbuster titles have gone. But all right, so that is that. Watch Dogs, Elite Dangerous. Something else? You were talking about War Thunder. Did you play that?
War Thunder, the same company actually made another flight sim called Isle 2 Battle of Stalingrad.
Oh yeah.
It is the most realistic World War II simulators I ever played. So I haven't really explored it too much. I've done a few dogfights, never played online yet, but it's really realistic and comes to like almost everything, from ground detail, from ground units to the planes to the pilots. The pilots have ragdoll physics, which I learned the hard way, bouncing off wings and stuff.
That's kind of cool, of course, because with the flight games, where of course Ace Combat, which is the best known or most known, is that of course the most important thing is how the ground looks, right? How the ground textures look. So if you come close to it, if you actually see 3D trees or 3D building models, and I guess with this next gen power, hopefully the world will look more realistic than it's ever been. Using Google Maps and stuff like that, but I guess if they're recreating Stalingrad as a whole, then I'm pretty excited to actually take a look at that. Are they the same guys that made the Il-2 Sturmovich or whatever it's called?
Yeah, same company. I forget what the company name is. I think it's 777 or something. Russian company. They've always made most realistic flight sims, so they're really high up there in terms of combat flight sims.
All right.
IC Game Studios and 77 Studios. So I think they're both based in Russia or Belarus or something like that, but they're really, really good.
All right. All right. So is that about it? And does that round it up? So of those games, what would you say? What would you really recommend? Because you said Watch Dogs is a little bit disappointing. Some of them are still in beta. The Elite Dangerous one.
Elite Dangerous is in beta. IL-2, I think, is in alpha stage. I'm actually pretty big on early access games, so I'm kind of playing alphas and not actually full games yet. It depends. If you need some gear to run a flight sim. You can't just run it off a controller. I mean, with the exception of War Thunder, because that's more of an MMO than it is a flight sim. I would recommend Elite Dangerous if you like space sims.
Well, I guess it's kind of
Dead Rising 3 is good now because they fixed.
Yeah, since you what was it called? The Star Citizen one isn't really playable yet. So I guess your best alternative is Elite Dangerous then.
Yeah, at this stage, yeah, it is. Elite Dangerous is further ahead than Star Citizen, but I don't know. Timeline, I don't know when Star Citizen's going to come out, but with Elite Dangerous, I think it's probably maybe 6 months, maybe even less. I'm not really too sure. I just started playing it, so I haven't been following the developer blog or anything. But yeah, I guess we'll just have to, time will tell, I guess, but it's definitely further ahead than Star Citizen is.
Alright. That is very cool then, Elite Dangerous. I should check some footage out on that as well, and maybe even, start a series on it or something. I don't know, it sounds very cool. Alright, let's go to what I have played. So I didn't play a whole lot, but that is about to change though, since the holiday season is right on our doorstep. That means that a lot of crazy shit is coming out. I've already had stuff pre-ordered, I bought stuff, So I bought Shadows of Mordor. Haven't seen any trailers yet as of late, but it's getting great reviews overall. I wouldn't say it's a AAA game that gets AAA reviews, but most of the reviews that I've seen are 8.7, 8.8, 8.9, some 9s, some even 10s, but those, you'll take it with a grain of salt. But not a whole lot of bad reviews, and yeah, that really makes me want to play it. It's 33 gigabytes though, so it is currently installing, and I'm probably not going to be able to play it today though. But that is alright, because I am still busy with Never-Ending Nightmares, which is a game that I think isn't too long. It wasn't too expensive as well. It was about $13, and I would say I think it is about 2 hours. I haven't completed it yet, but I have played about an hour or so. The thing with horror games is I cannot actually do them in long sessions, obviously, because jump scares and everything. But it is really cool. It is amazing to me how such a 2D game and with a hand-drawn style can actually really freak you out. The enemies in that game are actually not scary at all, if you look at them. It's also because they're completely visible, whereas usually in other horror games, let's say Amnesia, the monster or the enemy is in the distance or in the shadows and you don't completely see it, and that is part of what makes it scary. Yet here you see everything and they're hand drawn, so it's not too scary looking. But just the world and the creepiness and the sound design is insane. They're saying that they have this new technique that they use with headset. I'm not too sure what it is though. They never explain it. And it might be some surround sound. Now the headset that I am using doesn't have surround sound, but still, I actually legitimately turned around one time to see if something got knocked over in my place when it was not. It was insane how sound actually seems to change more so than I have with other games, which also support obviously all surround sound. So I'm not too sure what their new technique is, but it works amazingly. And yeah, I'm just happy again that there are horror games coming, because I'm such a big horror game fan. But I'm very strict on what I want, what I find cool. Because for example, Dread Out, which you also played, I didn't find that scary at all. I found that annoying.
Yeah, I actually decided not to go through with it. I was when I bought it, I was expecting it to be like a Fatal Frame remake, and boy, was I wrong.
Yeah, in a way, it does have, of course, similarities with, of course, cameras and taking pictures of ghosts. I just don't know. Everything in that game is just so. It misses its target so much. Yeah, I don't know. That game is still very much contender for my most disappointing game of this year. Of course, people say, well, it was an indie studio. Then again, if it is an indie, like, what you want to accomplish is to make your game scary, and if that doesn't work, then you failed. And I think there's still an episode 2 coming out for free, so hopefully they're fucking they'll turn up a notch or two, because they need to. But Cody, do you like playing horror games? Because of course, let's talk about games that are coming out. Since Neverending Nightmares was the only game that I really played last week. But next week, and both you and I have already pre-ordered it, is of course the long-awaited Alien Isolation is coming out. Is actually really being pushed as a horror game.
Yeah, I'm one thing is I'm a huge Aliens fan, and I'm hoping Isolation will make up for the disappointment that is Colonial Marines. Holy shit, let's not even talk about that. I do, if the environment is right, I do like horror games. I haven't really put a lot of time in them. The only maybe scariest game I've probably played is maybe Metro, which isn't, it has a few jump scares, but nothing else. Yeah, I'm definitely, just because it's in the Aliens, universe, I don't care what game it is, as long as it's good. If it makes references to the movies, it's great. So, either way, I'm psyched for it. I can't wait for it to come out. And
yeah, exactly.
I'm gonna play the shit out of it.
Are you actually going to post that on your YouTube channel? Is that going to be your first, series?
Yeah, maybe. I probably will do maybe a few maybe not more of a walkthrough, but maybe just let's play. I'm not gonna aim to show how to get Easter eggs or something like that, but just to maybe play it and record it and maybe talk about it a little bit.
Yeah. I'm very curious though. I'm also a big Alien fan, and I love the idea that they actually took that horror element where there's only one chasing you. What I hope though is I hope they keep that scare factor. Like I said, I'm very strict. Keep those scares fresh. Keep it at a threatening pace. I don't exactly remember how they promoted it, but I think they said that the alien is actually actively hunting you. And
Yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
It's one alien, and it actively hunts you. There are other AIs, well, non-alien AIs.
Well, there are
I don't
robots.
know. Supposedly, there's some like, yeah, there's a few androids, and I guess there's a few like survivors that are kind of crazy or something, or work for something else, like the corporation. I'm not really too sure.
Well, you can expect too that we're gonna fight a facehugger at a certain point, or fight, or where you need to run from a facehugger.
I don't know. We'll have to see. I'm not too sure right now. I haven't seen a whole lot yet, so I guess this time will tell when it actually comes out.
I mean, everybody pretty much knows that on P0d's channel, the first 20 minutes went up, but I refuse to see that to, avoid spoilers.
Yep, same here.
Yep, I'm gonna go there completely blind. I'm also not looking at any trailers and stuff like that. Horror games are just, I need to experience that first. But like I said, it could really go wrong. I really hope they get it right. One thing I do have to say though, and I get this still when I look at the screenshots, it is a next-gen game, and they say like, yeah, with next-gen it comes to life. I don't think it looks that pretty. No, it doesn't look ugly. Don't get me wrong.
Really?
Yeah, I just it looks like an Unreal game to me. Unreal Engine.
I'm not really sure what game engine. I'm not sure who's even making it. I don't even remember.
I think it is actually God, the guys who made the Total War series. It's not that studio that is in Britain, but it's the same one. God, what the fuck are they called? Creative Assembly?
Okay, Sega. Yeah, yes. Creative Assembly, and then Sega as a publisher.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I haven't heard anything about Creative Assembly, so I'm not really too sure. I never really looked into the company to see what they made, but maybe
Creative Assembly
the graphics
made all the Total War games, but that is a separate studio. So this studio is actually making this is not that same studio, though they have the same name. There are two branches.
Graphics is 2 gigs minimum, and then it does use DirectX 11, so we'll see how that turns out compared to a lot of games using 10 still, right? Yeah, it should be interesting.
I'm very excited for it. Actually, more than, of course, a week later, The Evil Within comes out, which is another horror game. I'm actually looking forward a lot more to Alien Isolation, because I've been just hearing a lot of bad shit about The Evil Within. That it's not scary, annoying, clunky controls, so I'm actually not too sure yet if I'm going to buy that on the first day. It's, of course, October. So that means that I want to play a lot of horror games, and after The Evil Within, not a whole lot is actually coming out. It's pretty much Never-Ending Nightmares, Alien Isolation, The Evil Within, and there's one free user-created episode of Amnesia that I wanted to play, but other than that, I think that those are all the high-priority horror titles that are coming out in October. But for the rest, are you looking forward to any other games that are going to come out this year that you maybe also saw during the Tokyo Game Show?
Tokyo Game Show wise, I know this isn't PC gaming, but definitely Bravely Second. I was gonna plan on playing it at TGS, and I think that was one of the only games. I think pretty much besides Monster Hunter, I think a lot of the games at Tokyo Game Show weren't premium ticket only. I think you're still able to play them, but the queues were so long, and that's why I couldn't play it, just because it was like the wait was 2 or 3 hours, and here I am spending.
You also went there, and you actually didn't play a whole lot, did you?
Yeah, we were the first few hundred people in, and we got there at 5:20 in the morning, and we left my house at 4 in the morning. And there was still about 200 people in front of us.
Jesus Christ.
So when we got in, we got a lot of free stuff, but the lines filled up fast because we wanted to check everything out first. And because of that, which only, it was 10 minutes, it was already filled up.
So you waited 5 hours before it opened? Because it opened at 10.
And even that, let me say, living in Japan, and you should know this too, for some reason, the Japanese love waiting in lines.
Oh yeah.
And it could be for the smallest thing. For like, instance, that Kit Kat store that like opened up that had all the flavors of Kit Kat. That was I didn't go, but I heard through a lot of friends that line was ridiculous. Like I went around a few blocks, and people just wanted to look at all the flavors of Kit Kat. It's like okay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous how they do that. I mean, yeah, it's 200 people in front of you, 5 in the morning. Goddamn. I mean, you also, the lines were so long that you pretty much couldn't enter them. I mean, you went there when it opened, but you left, I think, when the convention was still like going for 3 hours. But you pretty much had seen everything, and the rest was not playable.
We saw the two things were the group I went with actually got interviewed by Kotaku, so we were asked about the new 3DS and if we were going to get it, and we said no because there's no difference between them almost besides the color-coded buttons like a old Nintendo 64 controller, and I guess there's supposed to be an upgraded thumbstick because I don't know if a lot of people viewers are like in Japan are playing the Super Smash Brothers, a new one. A lot of people are breaking their thumbsticks, so supposedly they're upgrading it for the new 3DS, so you don't have to snap them when you play ridiculously. Yeah, it's like we got there at 5, open. We went in there at 10 and probably left about 2:30 because at that point in the halls it was there was too many people to walk. So it took us like 20 minutes to try to get out.
Oh god.
Because there were so many people. It was like Tokyo Rush Hour. Nightmare.
Wow. So, to come back to that Bravely Second, is that, I don't know anything about it, is that the follow-up on Bravely Default?
Yes, it's on 3DS, it's made by Square Enix, almost like turn-based Final Fantasy style, really, really cool. I got a 3DS just for it in Japan, because it was both in English and Japanese when it released inside of Japan, which is kind of the first. Wow. They don't really do that often. Yeah. Really, really cool.
Pokemon had it as well. Pokemon X and Y. I was worried when I bought it that I had to play it in Japanese, and I thought I just had to look some stuff out on YouTube when I was stuck, but it was English when I bought it here, so I was like, wow, okay, good job, Nintendo.
Yeah, I think it was the only other game that did it so far. I'm pretty sure Bravely Second is going to be released in English as well, hopefully, because that would suck if it didn't. And I'll probably get a lot of boos in the comments, but I'm not really a huge Pokemon fan, so it's kind of meh for me. I never intended to get in it. Sorry to say.
And, okay, so you are a fan of JRPGs in general, right? Would you say that as your favorite genre?
Definitely, yes. Yeah, you'd come close between, like, I do like first-person shooters, but not like, I'm not going to go play Call of Duty. I despise Call of Duty. I like Battlefield, but they have a lot of issues. Metro is one of my favorite first-person shooters, Metro 2033.
I want to ask you a question. So, I saw this interview with a guy who also actually did a podcast. The podcast is not existing anymore now, but that guy was also in the army. And so he had difficulties playing, for example, what was that game? Medal of Honor Warfighter, where they try to make it realistic. But he said, he served, I don't know where, Afghanistan maybe, or I don't remember, or maybe Iraq. But he said, because he actually knows how it is in real life, he actually cannot get into those shooters that pretend to be real because they're completely not. So for him, all those like fantasy shooters, those Halo, Borderlands, those are his thing. How do you look at that, like the realistic type of shooters?
Okay, so as an army standpoint, I have deployed and I have seen little combat. I haven't actually got shot at, but everything else from roadside bomb, never got RPG'd, but we did get mortared and rocketed before, like artillery rocket. It's kind of hard to say because there isn't a lot of veterans in the gaming community that are like active on YouTube, and especially ones that are combat veterans. So I haven't actually seen a gaming YouTube profile that someone had a combat like a combat veteran. I know for like when I was deployed to Iraq, we did play a lot of Arma 2, and that didn't bother us at all. I mean, a lot of people we played with seen combat like from a previous deployment and it never bothered them. I think I don't have a preference. I just don't like Call of Duty just because of the community.
Oh, yeah,
But
okay.
I like the most realistic ones. It doesn't bother me at all. I think the realism is really cool when it comes to games, so it
All right.
doesn't bother me at all.
All right. So you already said you're not a Call of Duty fan, so I assume that later this year you're not gonna get Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I was about to say Warfighter, but that is Ghost Recon.
Um, no, probably not. I haven't played a Call of Duty since was it, I think, Modern Warfare 3 or something.
Yeah, that
Not
was.
even, I don't like.
After
I
that,
didn't play Black
Black
Ops
Ops
2.
2. Yeah, Black Ops 2. I like Black Ops 2 because it actually had some significant different endings that was kind of cool. But Ghost was just. Oh, that was also a contender last year for most disappointing game. That was just horrible. Alright, so you're not getting that. Let's talk a little bit later, but I guess the list now kind of draws to a close. Since, of course, we are focused on October now. But what are some games later? Let's say, November, Christmassy, Thanksgiving-y. What are you looking forward to that?
I'm definitely gonna say the new Assassin's Creed Unity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just because for the co-op, that's gonna be really great. Um,
Ubisoft is gonna fuck us over because we're in Japan. Because they do that all the time.
yeah, Ubisoft is Ubisoft, so hopefully Assassin's Creed Unity's epicness would fix that. I don't know. We'll see.
Well,
Far
for
Cry
the people
4, even though
who
it's
don't
another.
know, we have a problem here since we live in Japan. Ubisoft games are also
Oh yes.
translated to Japanese, and with both Watch Dogs and Valiant Hearts, which is another Ubisoft games, we had to wait a month later. So I assume that both. I don't actually know for Far Cry. I thought Far Cry was actually released normally last year, but I'm not sure. But I assume that Assassin's Creed will have to wait for as well.
Yeah.
So Far Cry 4
For
is
me,
also.
okay, because I'm having internet connection.
Hmm.
Yeah. Far Cry 4, Assassin's Creed Unity. On the Steam store because they come out. I don't know. I think Assassin's Creed comes out this.
You are breaking up a
Far Cry
little bit.
in December.
Your sound is cracking a little bit.
Yeah, I think. Hold on. You might want to pause.
All right, we'll be right back, people.
Okay, so what I was saying earlier before I cut out there. So yeah, as you mentioned before, issue with Assassin's Creed, and I was talking about getting Far Cry 4 because that looks really good too. I was a pretty big fan of the previous Far Cry, and I've always been a fan of since like the regular Xbox on Far Cry. Yeah, since how we're living in Japan, they have to, and it's funny is like this happened to Watch Dogs. It's usually delayed a few months between the U.S. and Europe release, between the Asia release, and the reason for that is not for Japan, but for other countries in Mandarin. So, for an example, I don't know if they're released in China. I don't know how it works for that because they have pretty heavy regulations on games. But the issue was that Watch Dogs was delayed like a month for regular people, or the one to play it in Japan, or in using Japanese IP addresses because of Singapore. Ubisoft wanted to localize it in Mandarin for Singapore because I guess a lot of publishing, like importers maybe, I'm not really too sure, but either way, Singapore complained of not having it in Mandarin, so they delayed it a month before they can localize the full game in Mandarin. So that's why Japan got screwed over for that. But
And it's stupid.
I'm not too
it's
sure.
so stupid. It's Ubisoft. You can finish this so quickly, and I say this in my Valiant Hearts Let's Play too. Is just bring it out in English because some people in Russia have the same problem where there's not in Russian and they need to wait for localized. There are some people in those countries and here in Japan too that can speak English. So just bring it out then and then patch it later when you have the goddamn Japanese fucking translation in there or Mandarin or whatever the fuck it is.
Yeah, I mean, the game is it's already localized in a lot of main languages because all games usually come out in English, Spanish, German, French, and Japanese. But because they want to appeal to a wider audience and countries like Singapore that English is one of the primary languages, they complain about not having it in Mandarin. So I don't know. I don't know if it's everyone speaks Mandarin in Singapore, if it's just a minority. I don't know.
Yeah,
But either way, it needed to be localized.
Ubisoft is very
And I
very
agree,
proud of their language because they have Dutch translations usually too. I think Watch Dogs actually has it, and it's really not necessary. I mean, every Dutchman can speak English. I mean, that's way better.
Yeah. Right now, looking at the release, Far Cry 4 has with full audio and interface is English, French, Italian, German, Spanish, and then Japanese, Portuguese, and Russian on its release. The priority is subtitles Czech, Danish, Dutch, Finnish, Korean, Polish, and Swedish. But still, that's a lot. I mean, it's like, why do you have to delay a game for Asia a whole month to localize it in Mandarin?
I know, it's ridiculous. Just bring it out when it's ready, and the people who can actually play it in English, they will jump on that. People want to play it when it comes out, and it is annoying. I remember preloading Watch Dogs. I was all happy. Everybody started playing it. All the internet sites were hyped. Reviews were coming out. And I'm like, well, I gotta wait a month. And it really, for me, like I said, I barely touched the game. It really, I don't know, destroyed my whole hype for that game. And it's kind of sad because Rainbow Six, whatever it's called, that new one that is not coming out for a long time, but that one looked cool. And I realized, well, that's probably also gonna be me waiting a month later for that. So fix that, Ubisoft.
Another thing. Oh, crap, what was I going to say? I was just looking at it, and I totally just drew a blank on it.
Sniper, 300 meters, due north.
Yeah, I forget.
Alright, that's fine though. So we have Ubisoft titles. Is there something else you're looking forward to later this year? I mean, a lot of titles have been pushed to February. Evolve has been pushed, Witcher 3 has been pushed, Battlefield has been pushed. It's all pushed. So, to be honest, not too much is coming out later that I'm interested in. Like I said, I am actually going to buy the Call of Duty one. People like that. I'm going to give them still another chance. This is not the same team that made Ghosts. And I don't know. I'm probably not gonna play the multiplayer a whole lot because that looked kind of meh. But single player, yeah, maybe.
12-year-old racists.
Yeah.
Go back on. I remember what I was gonna say. To go back real quick. Sorry, derail your hype train. To go back on. Steam has an issue too. Is Steam did not release the fact that Watch Dogs was gonna be delayed a full month until the night of, and not a lot of people know that, but I kept an eye on it, and they updated the Steam interface with the new dates, basically right under our noses, and a lot of people were pissed. You could see it in the discussion boards. It was ridiculous.
You need to let people know that, early on. It's stupid. Yeah, no, the Watch Dogs was a complete disaster here in some countries, but yeah.
Personally, I think it was okay. I had an older laptop, so I was using the Asus G74X with a 2 gig graphics card, which was pretty dated by the time, but it was still powerful enough. Watch Dogs had a lot of staggering issues.
Oh yeah.
I was supposed to be able to max the game, but it had a lot of staggering. I couldn't run it on Ultra. And it had a lot of staggering issues of frames.
Yeah, especially, I mean, cars
now
and stuff.
They updated it, so it's not too bad.
Oh, did they? Because last time, there were some driver updates, and they didn't do that, but, yeah, I was hoping that they would fix that, so maybe I should look into that again.
I'm letting a friend borrow my old computer, and from what he told me is because we've been playing co-op together, there's still a lot of staggering issues running the game on medium to high settings, but for me in Ultra, there might be a slow frame. I wouldn't say stuck every once in a while, but it's really hard to notice unless you look for it. Other than that, the game's pretty smooth.
All right.
And like you were saying earlier, the physics aren't too as smooth as Grand Theft Auto 5 and all that. So you still got that issue besides the staggering issue.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. So we got Far Cry 4. We got that. Is there something else? I'm trying to think of some stuff that is going to be released. I guess Super Smash Brothers. Are you looking forward to that? I don't know. Something.
Not. I don't really game on the Nintendo besides the 3DS, and that's mainly for Bravely Default. And I still have a Monster Hunter that's collecting dust, and I haven't even touched yet. So I'm mainly a Vita player. I am waiting for. I don't know if there's a lot of JRPG players, but I am waiting for the new Danganronpa to be localized. Not the second one, but there's a shooter coming out, and it looks really fun. So I'm hoping that gets localized, but I don't have a lot of detail on that just because it's all in Japanese, and yeah.
All right.
I don't have detail. That's about it for me. How about you?
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like I said, I'm mostly focused on October. I'm trying to think what else is coming out. I'm probably not going to do the Assassin's Creed because I want to play them in chronological order. That's why Shadows of Mordor was so easy, because it was a new IP. What else is coming out?
I picked up Assassin's Creed supposedly because there are actually not a lot of people know this, and because Unity's way up there. There's actually two Assassin's Creeds coming out.
Oh yeah,
There's Rogue, which is mainly campaign story driven, and then you got Unity, which is 4-player co-op. It's still campaign, but it's like really focused on co-op by itself. But yeah, it's kind of weird for them to do that because I'm personally going to get Unity, but Rogue is just kind of like I don't know how to explain it, like why they're choosing to release two games that are pretty close to each other in terms of release dates.
One of them is not coming out on the next gen, right? So that is.
I do not know actually.
I think Rogue is only for 360 and PS3, so I guess that is for the people who actually haven't made the jump yet to PS4 and stuff like that. However, I'm now actually trying to check the games that are coming out. What about? I don't know how you feel about this. Like I said, I'm actually not going to buy it because it's still, like I said, chronological order. What about Dragon Age Inquisition?
I played the first Dragon Age, and I never had time or never sat down to play the second one. Mm-hmm. So the experience with the first one, I really liked it. It had a lore to it. I mean, I don't know. Was that the first Dragon Age, or was it some type of game that had a huge universe or previous games?
No, Dragon Age was pretty big. Dragon Age was also the one that everybody liked. Dragon Age 2 was the shitty one, where you basically were in only one city. That's what people hated about it, where in Dragon Age 1, you actually would travel around the whole world. And in Dragon Age 2, you were in the same place. And it was just also gigantic. I mean, you could easily put 80 hours in Dragon Age 1. It was huge.
Yeah. Have you, I know it might be big for you because you do a lot of co-op playthroughs with it, but have you seen anything new on the new Mountain Blade? There's a new Mountain Blade coming out. I don't know if you've seen any stuff for it.
Of course, oh my god.
The graphics look really, really good for it.
It is cool too. Yeah, I saw some screenshots where they showed some towns, and towns are bigger, which is going to have better sieges and stuff. Oh my god, I'm gonna love that game so much. There's not a release date yet known though. I would be surprised if it is still coming out this year. But that is definitely something that I'm going to jump on. I mean, also, thinking about that, all the mods that are coming out, I mean, it's ridiculous, the amount of mods that are available for that. I mean, I'm doing, of course, a full invasion, but the Star Wars Conquest one, which is a Star Wars mod, is actually doing very well on my channel. But there are mods for it where you can play as the Napoleonic Age or as the Roman Age. Basically, all the Total War eras are in there. But also ridiculous mods like a High School of the Dead mod, which is just insane, or a Naruto mod, a Cowboy versus Indians mod.
And this is for...
This is for PC.
This is for the Mountain Blade?
The Mountain Blade, yes. And it is different, though. There's Mountain Blade, there's Mountain Blade Warband, and then there's also Fire and Sword, but everybody pretty much ignores that one. But the main mods are indeed for Mountain Blade and Mountain Blade Warband. There's a very good one, for example, with Lord of the Rings one as well, where you have all those units and just insanity erupts, and with those new powers that or with new engines that they can set up the game in Mountain Blade to Bannerlord, that would be great. And I hope they will actually add in like a co-op campaign, because you can play the game co-op now, but it's purely the battles. So you basically have just sieges where you fight with your buddies, and that is very cool. But it will be kind of cool to conquer the whole land with your friends. That would be amazing. I don't know if they actually can do that, but that would be something that I think they should strive for. But yeah, that is a game that is not coming out for long. Most of the games, ironically, that I'm really looking forward to are in October. Because most of the other games are either for consoles, because GTA 5 is coming out for PS4 and Xbox One, but the PC version isn't coming out until January. So
I think it's actually September of next year. I think it's a pretty far release date.
Oh Jesus, is it? Oh my God.
Yeah, let me double check. But
yeah.
Continue.
But yeah, like I said, mostly in October, and after that, not too much. I mean, November, I'm going to buy Call of Duty, and that actually might be the last thing that I buy. I mean, like I said, Dragon Age, I'm interested in that, but I would first want to play Dragon Age 2, and actually do a Let's Play of Dragon Age 1, even though I did play that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you get the release date?
I'm checking right now. Continue.
Alright. But yeah, I mean, people are talking about, whether this is a good gaming year. I mean, people always compare, like, was it a better year than last year? I would say most people are, of course, very happy or very hyped, so they always say, oh, this is the best game year yet. And though it's not been a bad game year, I would say that last year was better with titles like BioShock Infinite, The Last of Us, and GTA 5, where here, sort of like the things that are kind of like sticking out are, well, I guess for some people, Watch Dogs, South Park, I guess maybe Destiny for some, but I hear so many also like negative things about Destiny. Whereas with BioShock Infinite, The Last of Us, and GTA 5, everybody was just praising the shit out of those games. So I think, though it's not a bad game year, I wouldn't say that 2014 is as good as 2013. And in terms of games that are still coming out, it's the same. Like I said, I mean, of those games that are still coming out, I think Alien Isolation is the one that I'm hyped for most, and that is already coming out next week. And after that, I'm still looking forward to some games, but not too much. And all the big titles, Battlefield, Witcher 3, Evolve, that's all 2015. So 2015 might actually become a really good, cool year. But yeah.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 5, January 27th. So you're right. I got the dates mixed up because the Xbox One and PS4 Grand Theft Auto 5s come out late November. So
all right,
I got the date.
I'm really looking forward to GTA 5 though. Playing it again, I stopped at 34% because I knew that it was coming to PC, and I wanted to do a Let's Play on it, preferably blind. So I stopped that. I really enjoyed that game though. Hopefully also with a first-person mod. Though there have been tales that apparently in the console versions you can actually switch to first-person mode. I don't know if that's true or not. But yeah, that's pretty much it. So I guess we'll kind of round up. We talked about what games we played, what we are looking forward to. So people, I kind of stole this, what we played last week. I stole that from another podcast, but I don't care. It's kind of an homage, I guess. But basically, we're going to do this hopefully weekly. Next week, we'll actually go talk about some news that has happened. We'll be sure to keep an eye out for news that is happening in the gaming industry. Maybe in the future, there will be guests on there. Like I said, we might do webcams or stuff. It is still in a very early stage, and this is just, a small first step. So definitely leave comments, give us feedback. What can we do better? What would be suggestions or whatever the fuck? Maybe even ask some questions. I'm not too sure if we're going to do like an actually Q&A section here. I'm not too sure yet. I'll check into that as we go on. But definitely leave comments, leave a like, let us know what you think, and thank you, Cody, for joining me on this podcast. Is actually, when you have your YouTube channel running, are you also going to record this and be posting it on your channel?
Yeah, I will probably start doing, I guess my side, I guess you can say the podcast, whatever co-op we do. But like I said before, besides the fact I have a few War Thunder videos, I do not have my YouTube. You can go ahead and a little self-promotion there. you can go ahead and subscribe, and then when I do release some information or new videos, see it for yourself. But other than that, like I said, for now, I don't expect a whole lot of content.
Alright, yeah, like I said, description will, or a link to his YouTube channel will be in the description down below. Go check it out. Thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.